Hey y'all, what's good? And welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. Let's remember to have healthy dialogue, be respectful to ourselves and to each other, and to challenge the argument and not the person. Let's get it.
You solemnly swear to testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And this you do as you shall answer to God or the pains and penalty of perjury. Good afternoon. Make sure you speak directly into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone so you will not move. Remain quiet.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Dolly.
Keep your voice up and speak into the microphone, please.
Like the judge said, the chair doesn't move. You can get closer to the microphone. Please state your full name, spelling your first and last name for the court reporter.
Chelsea Lilly, Lilloy.
And Ms. Lilly, by whom are you employed?
Cuyahoga County Division of Children and Family Services.
And how long have you so been employed by them?
3 years.
All right. And what kind of undergraduate work did you do in order for you to maintain your position?
I have a bachelor's in law and society, pre-law, and forensic science.
And what university did you go to, ma'am?
Purdue University.
All right. And when were you hired at Children and Family Services?
In September 2016.
And what position were you hired into?
I was hired as a social worker 3 child protection specialist.
All right. And can you tell me what kind of training you obtained initially before you got your caseload? How does it work at Children and Family Services?
We go through a 2 to 3 month training. It ranges during all aspects of child welfare. We learn about the different varieties of child abuse. We learn about case planning, family assessments, safety assessments. We learn about the legal aspects, what are supportive services, what we can offer families. We also shadow during our training process, and then we eventually go into a transition process where we begin to get our own caseloads.
All right. Let's talk about a shadowing process. What do you mean by that?
We get assigned to a seasoned worker, and we shadow them, whether it's for a day to 2 to 3 days.
And with regards to, you've indicated this type of abuse, these things that you are trained in, how long does that process take? The training, your initial training?
Initial training in regards to each aspect?
Yes.
It can range anywhere from 2 to 3 days, or sometimes a week or 2.
All right. And how many modules do you go through?
8.
After you've completed your 8 modules that you've just spoken about, what is the transition unit?
The transition unit is that we are assigned to one of 3 units under 3 seasoned supervisors. And like I said, we get our own caseloads. They're very small, usually under 5.
All right. And this transition unit, which particular units could you be assigned to if you're put into the transition unit?
You don't get assigned directly to a unit right away, but you can either be put in short-term services investigations or our extended services unit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Our extended services unit.
Okay. What is extended services unit?
Extended services is when after a case is deemed ready to be transferred, the family is either court involved or deemed needed more services, they would be transferred to a worker that would work with the family longer term.
And during this transition, are you also involved with any specific cases? Once you go into the transition unit, do you start obtaining your own cases?
Yes.
Okay. How are they assigned to you?
They're assigned randomly when they get called into the hotline. When it's your unit, your supervisor's turn, they will get assigned to you by their discretion.
Okay. And just, Ms. Lilly, just so we can understand, just generically speaking, we're not going to talk about this case yet, but just say you're in this new position now and there's an initial call or a referral. What do you do?
Whenever we receive our original intake, our original referral, we place a call to the referent if they decide to leave their information to follow up and get further information in regards to any concerns that they have that may have been left out.
All right. And referrals, are they the mandatory reporters or people that may call in anonymously to your agency?
There are mandated reporters, but they can also be called in anonymously. Either way, they are to remain confidential.
All right. And once you obtain a referral, what do you do initially? Generally speaking, ma'am.
Generally speaking, we follow up with the referent if they leave their information. And then we have a certain time period where we are to dispatch and make contact with the family, whether it is within an hour time period or a 24-hour time period.
All right. Can you tell me about that? Are those two particular categories or priorities that calls are categorized in?
Yes, the hour time period is a priority one, which means it's an emergency referral. And the category 2 is the 24-hour mandate.
All right. And what do you have to do within the 24-hour mandate?
We follow up with the referent and we attempt to make contact with the family. We go out to their home unannounced. If that is unsuccessful, we also try to make a phone call to the family. If that is unsuccessful, we continue to go out to the home daily until face-to-face contact is made.
All right. And in addition to that, then what's your next process? What do you do next?
We attempt to engage the family. If we have successful contact with the family, we meet with them, we discuss the allegations of the referral. We speak with all individuals in the home, whether it's adults or children individually. If there are, we gather collateral contact information as well, which would be schools, daycares, hospitals, relatives, friends of the family. And then if we see immediate concerns in the home, that's when we would contact our supervisor, discuss those concerns. But if we would also speak with the family if there weren't immediate needs, but we felt a need for services, we would speak with the family about various services that we can offer them and go from there.
And what kind of other services could you offer these families?
It depends on the situation. We can offer in-family counseling if there happens to be parenting conflict in the home, if the family is going through a divorce situation. We can also offer intense counseling such as MST and tapestry services, which focuses on the child but also helps guide the parents in their parenting practice. We also offer early childhood mental health, help me grow services. We offer a wide range.
All right. And just generally speaking, after you've done all that and you still have some concerns, do you have a staff?
Yes, we speak with our supervisor about the concerns. We decide to go forward and have a staffing.
Okay. Can you explain to us what is a staffing?
A staffing is when the agency still has concerns or there are immediate concerns regarding the family. If there are still concerns and we go forward with the staffing, there's a wide range of options that we can introduce to the family.
And who participates in the staffing?
Myself, my supervisor, the facilitator, who's just an unbiased person, a third party who kind of dictates the staffing. Sometimes their supervisor participates, and then you will invite the mother, the father, and then any of their relatives, any of their support systems.
And are there occasions where you don't have any concerns, but that you still put some services into home?
Yes.
Can you explain that to us?
Yes, when that occurs, that's usually designated for short-term services, which can range anywhere from 45 to a 3-month time period. And that's when we would make sure that the family is engaging in services, whether it's counseling or if they need to complete AOD, which is an alcohol and drug assessment. If there's recommendations, we make sure that they're compliant with that.
And Miss Lily, were you gainfully employed at the Department of Children and Family Services back in February 14th, 2017?
Yes,
And how long had you worked for Children and Family Services at that point?
6 months.
Okay. And what position were you in at the agency after the 6 months?
I was a social worker 3 short-term service investigator.
Okay. And were you getting your own referrals?
Yes,
All right. And back on February 14th, 2017, did you become involved in an emergency referral with regards to an Aniya Day?
yes.
All right. Now, could you please tell us how you became involved and what you initially did?
We became involved, we received an emergency referral on February 14, 2017 regarding Aniya. There were concerns that Aniya had bruising under her left eye. And when we received that referral, we followed up with the reporter, gathered other collateral information, and then dispatched immediately to where she was, which was Harbor Crest Daycare.
All right. And when you say we dispatched, who went out to Harbor Crest to teach?
Myself.
Okay. And did you go there by yourself or with somebody else?
Myself.
Okay. When you arrived, what did you initially do?
When I arrived, I initially spoke with the center director, who reported her.
You can't tell me what the director told you.
Okay.
As a result of the information the director provided to you, what did you do? What steps did you take?
I requested to meet with Aniya.
And did you meet with her?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you meet with her?
I met with her in a classroom, in an empty classroom, with myself and the center director.
Okay. And can you, for the record, can you tell me, do you remember what the center director's name was?
Ms. Dawson.
Okay. And when you and Ms. Dawson met with Aniya, what was your purpose in meeting with Aniya, ma'am?
To address her safety and to see if she needed medical attention.
Okay. And what were your observations and what did you do?
My observations was that she did have bruising under her left eye. And I did examine the rest of her body, which she had no other marks and bruises. I attempted to engage Aniya in conversation to see what happened.
And did you engage her in conversation?
Yes.
Okay. And was Aniya able to provide to you some information?
Yes.
And what information did Aniya provide to you?
Objection. Overruled.
Aniya reported at first that her mother did it, and then she reported that her father did it. Aniya's story was inconsistent.
Okay. So as a result of meeting with Aniya, what else did you do at the time?
I placed a call to her mother. I reported that I needed to meet with her immediately, that we received emergency allegations regarding Aniya, and that she needed to come to the daycare right away.
All right. Did you get through? Well, first of all, who did you contact?
I contacted Sierra Day.
All right. And did she respond to your phone call?
At the first attempt, no. The second attempt, yes.
And did she come to the daycare center?
It took a few hours, but she eventually got there.
Okay. Did you stay at the daycare waiting for her there?
Yes.
All right. Did you contact her father?
Yes.
Were you able to contact her father?
I did not get through. I left a voicemail. There was no response.
Okay. So approximately how long did you wait for Miss Day to come to the daycare?
I got to the daycare at 10:30, and I didn't meet with Miss Day until 3:30, 3:45.
In the afternoon?
Yes,
Okay. And where did you meet with Miss Day?
I met with Miss Day at her home.
At her,
At her home.
okay. And where was her home at the time, Miss Lily?
She was living at Harbor Crest Apartments.
Okay. And was Aniyah there with you, or did you just meet with Miss Day by herself?
Miss Day kept an eye at the daycare.
I'm sorry?
Miss Day kept an eye at the daycare. I met with Miss Day by herself.
Okay. So when you went up to this apartment in Harbor Crest,
Yes.
were you able to go inside the apartment?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, what were your observations of this apartment that you walked into there?
The apartment was very clean. There was a lot of food in the home. All the utilities were working. Aniyah had a lot of clothing, her own bed. All of her basic needs were being met.
All right. And is that something that you look at and consider when you are doing your assessment based on the reason why you went out there? Yes, I'll rephrase. You went out to the house now. You're at her house, correct?
Yes,
You were called in, there was a referral made. Is part and parcel of your investigation to do an assessment where the child is living
yes,
and the safety concerns with regards to this child,
yes.
all right? So when you say her needs were being met, is there like a mental checklist that you have to go through, or actually a formal checklist that you have to mark off at enough food in the home?
No, it's something that we're trying to do.
Okay, and so with regards to the food, why is that necessary?
To make sure that she has food to eat.
Okay, and safety concerns, what kinds of things are you looking at in the home?
We're looking to see if there's any safety hazards such as exposed wires, black mold, cleaning supplies left out in her reach. There's no food in the home, the utilities aren't working.
All right, what about the bedroom? What did you notice about, did she have a bedroom or did she share a bedroom?
She had her own bedroom.
Okay, what did you notice in her bedroom?
I noticed a lot of clothing, a lot of shoes. I did notice her own bed. I can't remember what else.
Okay, and so did you and Mrs. Day have a conversation about the incident that you were called out to investigate?
Yes.
All right, what types of questions did you ask Mrs. Day?
I asked Miss Day as to how this incident could have occurred, who was supervising Aniyah when this incident occurred. I asked her, just follow-up information, collaterals, who watches Aniyah, who helps supervise her, who her support systems are in regards to Aniyah.
All right, now you've introduced something else here, support systems. What do you mean by that?
We look at the family support system to see, we also use that to examine as collaterals to see if, this child's being introduced to other people that could verify it if they're being abused or neglected. So in regards to support systems, we're talking about community supports, family supports, friend supports.
All right, now during this conversation with Ms. Day, was she able to answer your questions?
Yes.
And what information did Ms. Day share with you, Ms. Lilly, in response to your questions?
In regards to the allegation, she reported that when the incident occurred, Aniyah was at her maternal grandfather, Aniya Day's home. She reported that she was being supervised by him, and while she was in his care, she ran into the side of the table.
Okay, and was she able to provide you who her support system was, who she allowed to watch Aniyah?
Yes. She reported that she allows the maternal grandfather to watch Aniyah, along with, she's reported that she was close with her pastor, Debbie. at the time.
Okay. And did you provide a last name for Debbie?
No.
All right. Did you ask Miss Day about Aniya's father?
Yes.
And did she provide you any information in regards to Aniya's father?
Yes, I attempted to engage her in conversation about Mr. Garrett. She reported that her and Mr. Garrett separated prior 3 months before that. She reported that she had no updated contact information for him and that the only way she was able to get a hold of him was through Facebook.
All right. And when you are out and you are doing an assessment, do you also do a financial assessment and ask where funds are coming into the apartment?
Yes.
And was she able to tell you where she was employed?
Yes.
And where was she employed?
To my knowledge, at that time, she was employed at a dollar store of some sort.
Okay. And was she able to provide you other information? Was she receiving child support?
Yes.
Did she tell you that?
Yes.
She was receiving child support from Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
And was she receiving any other kind of income?
She was receiving medical, food assistance, and I want to say SSI, but I'm not positive.
Okay, fair enough. And when you say food assistance, what do you mean by that?
Food stamps.
Okay. And is that also another, excuse me, another necessary component for you when you're looking at doing your assessment?
Yes, to see how they can financially provide and have the means to take care of their child.
All right. So you've now had this conversation with Ms. Day. Is there anything else that you discussed with Ms. Day with regards to this allegation?
Yes, I discussed prior concerns that individuals at the daycare had in regards to prior incidents that Aniya has come in with.
All right. What did you talk to her about? What other incidences did you bring to her attention?
The concerns that the daycare expressed, Aniya coming in with other marks, bruises.
And was she able to provide you some answers?
She reported that most of them occurred when they were in the care of her grandfather or in the care of her sister or Aniya's aunt. She said that Aniya's aunt's 2 children and cousins were very rough and played rough with her. She also reported that at times Aniya would go to daycare and then she'd come back with these marks.
Okay. So now you are armed with all this information, Ms. Lilly. What is your next process in your evaluation? What do you do next?
We follow up with other collaterals, such as I spoke with the grandfather who collaborated the story that the incident happened while he was caring for Aniya, that she ran into a table.
When you say you spoke to the grandfather, what was his name again, please?
Eddie Day.
All right. So he corroborated that story.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else did you speak to?
I spoke with various teachers within the daycare. Like I said, the daycare director, and I also reached out for collateral information regarding the police departments and medical.
Okay. And what do you mean the police department?
Requested police reports.
Okay.
Part of the investigation.
I'm sorry.
That's part of the investigation.
Okay. And did you also meet with Aniya and do anything else with Aniya to memorialize your findings or what you had observed? Did you take any pictures of Aniya?
Yes, I did.
And was it during this particular visit that you took the photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach? Do you recognize those, Ms. Lilly?
Yes.
Did you take those photographs yourself?
Yes.
Starting with State's Exhibit 1001, can you look at that photograph and tell me what that photograph is showing to us?
It's a full headshot of Aniya's face, showing the bruising under her left eye.
State's Exhibit 1002.
That is a picture to the right side of her face. It's showing just darkness under her right eye. I was just concerned, so I took that.
Okay, State's Exhibit 1003.
That's a closer up picture to the bruise under Aniya's left eye.
And that's the reason why you were called in.
Yeah.
All right, in State's Exhibit 1004.
Those were followed up, or those were old scarring to Aniya's left cheek and upper neck area that I just followed through with taking pictures on for documentation.
All right, and did you notice those with your naked eye, ma'am? All right, and as a basis for taking those photographs, did you share those photographs with somebody?
Yes,
Who did you share those photographs with?
my supervisor.
Okay, and why did you share them with your supervisor?
As for follow-up protocol in regards to the referral.
Okay, so you took photographs, you talked with some collateral folks, you talked with Grandpa. Did you actually meet with Grandpa?
No,
All right. Were you able to meet with Mr. Day? Mr. Garrett?
no, I could not find him during the investigation.
All right. And now when you say that you were at Harbor Crest, with regards to the clothing, whose clothing did you notice in the bedroom?
Miss Days and Aniyas.
Okay. And did you meet with any other relatives or friends of Miss Days with regards to your investigation?
No,
All right. So after you have conducted now your investigation, what's the next process with regards to this particular call that was made to the agency? What do you do, ma'am?
we conducted the family assessment, which is an overall picture of any strengths, concerns that the family has. We had collateral information from all parties involved, including outside parties, and we closed the case.
Okay. And did you find it a need to put in any services in this particular case?
We referred Miss Day to the Community Collaborative.
All right, and tell me about that. What is the Community Collaborative?
It is a neighborhood resource, completely voluntary services. They have access to anything within their neighborhood, such as clothing banks, food banks, furniture banks, if needed, counseling resources, transportation resources, legal support, financial support.
And at the time, back in 2000, and I believe it was February 14th, 2017, was there anybody else involved with Miss Day? Was she dating anybody? Would that have been important to you?
That would have been important because that's someone else that would have been around Aniya at the time. But to my knowledge, no, Miss Day wasn't. She just recently separated with Mr. Garrett, and that's part of the questions that we ask is who resides in the home and who has access to Aniya.
Okay, and this family collaborative, why, excuse me, why did you think it was important to provide her that information?
We provide that information to all our families, just because a lot of our families are not aware of the services that can be offered within their communities.
And Ms. Lilly, once you concluded your investigation and assessment in this case, did you have any other involvement with this case?
No, I did not.
And Ms. Lilly, you indicated to us that it would be important to you as a caseworker, just in general, to find out if the mother or the father, depending on the situation, was dating somebody.
Yes.
Why is that?
We always do criminal backgrounds on all adults in the home, along with any adults that have access to the child. We also do a sex offender registry list to make sure that there are no access to sex offenders.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson. 1 minute. Make sure you speak into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone, your seat will not move.
Okay.
May inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
Please state your full name, spelling your first and your last name for the court recorder.
Yes. First name is Michael. Last name is Garrett. Last name is spelled Garrett.
And your first name, please.
Michael, Michael.
And Michael, what community do you reside in?
I live in East Cleveland, Ohio.
And sir, are you married?
No, I'm not.
Do you have a significant other?
Yes, I do.
And her name is?
Her name is Maya Kaban.
And do you have children?
Yes, we do.
How many children do you have, sir?
Oh, I have 2 biological and 2 stepchildren.
Okay. And did you also have a daughter by the name of Aniya Day Garrett?
Yes, of course.
And Mr. Garrett, are you gainfully employed, sir?
Yes, I am.
And what do you do for a living?
Yes, I'm a parking enforcement officer. I work for the city of Cleveland.
How long have you so been employed?
I've been present there working for the past 8 months.
And prior to that, sir, where did you work?
Prior to that, I was a private security officer, and I did security for Tower City for a company called Securitas.
And prior to that, were you trained with regards to you obtaining your certificate as a peace officer?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Prior to working at Tower City, did you take the time to obtain some type of certificate with regards to you becoming a
Yes.
security officer?
Yes.
When did you do that, sir?
I did that in the year of 2017.
All right. And where did you do that at?
Cuyahoga Community College. That's where I got my certificate for my Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy.
Okay. And prior to that, were you gainfully employed?
Yes.
And where did you work? What kind of various employments have you had since 2013 when Aniya was born?
I've always been working. I've had multiple jobs. There were times where I was working 2 jobs. In the beginning, the first 2 years of Aniya's life, I was doing security throughout those years, primarily, and I always kept steady work history. Was constantly working.
And did you work at various employments with regards to clothing shops, managerial positions at clothing shops?
Yes, I was assistant manager also of City Trends clothing store.
And when did you meet Sierra Day?
We met approximately 2012 in the summer near her birthday. Yes.
Okay. And sir, where did you go to high school?
I graduated at Garfield Heights High School.
All right. And where did Sierra go to high school?
She was attending Shaw High School.
All right. So approximately how long did you date?
Approximately before that year.
All right. And during that time, where were you residing?
During that time, I was living with a friend at the time. in the very beginning, and then we moved on and got a place of our own.
All right, and when you were living with your friend, where was Sierra living?
She was living with her parents.
All right, and who are her parents?
Her mother's name is Natalie, and her father's name is Eddie.
All right, and to your knowledge or your interactions, does Sierra have brothers and sisters?
Yes.
All right, who are the brothers and sisters, sir, that you are familiar with?
I'm familiar with Erica Johnson. I'm familiar with Eric. I'm familiar with Isaiah. She has a number of different sisters and brothers. I don't remember the rest.
And is it fair to say that she's got brothers and sisters that are older than her?
Yes.
Who is younger than her? Are there any siblings that are younger than her?
Her and her brother were the youngest.
All right, and they are twins?
Yes.
All right, and that would be Isaiah.
Correct.
All right, now during your dating relationship, there comes a point in time that she becomes pregnant,
Yes.
okay? And when is your daughter born?
Our daughter was born September 2nd, 2013.
All right, and once she was born, was she given your name?
Yes.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, of course.
And where did you bring Aniya back after being at the hospital?
Oh, at the time we went back to her parents' home at the time.
Okay. And how long did you guys stay at her parents' home before the two of you moved out?
It was almost a year.
All right. And how would you describe your relationship within that year? Now you have a new baby. And so how is the new relationship starting on September 2nd, 2013 to, let's say, September of 2014 to Aniya's first birthday? Are you all living together?
I was in the household quite often. I was working a lot. So anytime I would get off work, I would, go over to her parents' house to check on Aniya and make sure everything was okay.
All right. And during this time, was your family involved with this child as well?
As much as possible. I really don't have much family that lives here in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, where does your family reside, sir?
Majority lives in Indianapolis, Indiana.
All right. And would there be occasions where you would take Aniya to visit with your family?
Yes.
Okay. And were you also financially supporting your daughter during this time?
Yes.
Okay. Was Aniya also receiving some type of benefits because she was just a little tight?
Yes.
Okay. Was Sierra working at the time?
Not at the time.
All right. Who was primarily responsible for Aniya's care during the first year of probate?
We both were.
Right? And so does there come a point in time that Sierra moves out of her parents' home?
Well, that didn't take place until we moved out together.
Okay, when was that?
And I was the primary, I was making the most money in the income.
Okay.
And that took place about a year after Aniya was born.
Okay, so let's just say, we'll stick with September of 2014.
Okay.
Where did you and Sierra move to with Aniya?
We have moved to an apartment building owned by K&D in Euclid, near 260s in Euclid.
All right, do you know what the name of the apartment building was?
They changed the name, I do not remember.
Okay. Was it Harbor Crest?
No, it wasn't Harbor Crest.
Were you at the old Watergate or North Point?
No, not North Point either.
Okay. All right, so suffice it to say an apartment building?
Yes.
Was it a complex or was it a side-by-side?
Yes, it was a side-by-side, like 3 stories high apartment building.
Okay. And who lived in the apartment with you at the time?
It was just me and her and Aniya.
Okay. And is the state in this courtroom here today, Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Could you tell us just where she's sitting.
Stipulate that you can identify.
Yes, to the left.
Thank
of the
you.
courtroom.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Garrett, so you moved into this apartment. Who is responsible for paying for the upkeep of the apartment?
I was primarily, because I was bringing in the most income in the home.
Was she working?
At the time, no, but then she started working later on that year.
Okay. And when you say she started working on later on that year, where was she working?
Get Ready, Set, Grow daycare.
All right. And when she was working at Get Ready, Set, Grow daycare, who was taking care of Aniya?
When she was working at the daycare, actually, Aniyas was going to another daycare that was across the street from the daycare she worked at. But I was always there, picking Aniyas up, drop her off to daycare, and I would pick her up after work.
Okay. And how long did that go on until you and Miss Day decided to separate?
That probably went on about 6 months, 7 months.
All right. So during this time that you were living now in your own apartment, did your family members come and visit?
No. Well, yes, they did. They did come and visit. It's so sporadic, times we all come together. But yes, they did.
And what about Sierra's family? Would they come over and visit?
Every now and again.
And would you attend functions together? Birthday functions, dinner functions, like dinner on a Sunday afternoon?
Yes.
All right, and where would that take place?
Sometimes it take place at her family's house for the most part. Her dad liked to cook a lot, so we would go over there. And I love her granddad too, so I would take her over there. And, we spend time like that. We would spend time at my family's as well. We have family gatherings, have dinner, things like that.
All right, so when you say granddad, are we talking about Mr. Eddie Day?
Yes.
All right, and did Aniya at this time have some cousins?
Yes, she did.
All right, and who had children in Sierra Day's family other than you and Sierra?
Her sister Erica did.
And what did she have?
She had 2 baby girls.
And were they comparable ages to Aniya, or were they a little bit older?
Yes, they were very close in age.
All right, and would Aniya play with them?
Yes, she did.
All right, and so how did your relationship move along during this time?
Our relationship was okay at the time. In that very beginning of those first 1 year, year and a half of Aniya's life, it started getting a little rocky. After like that first year and a half, I just started seeing different signs. I just wasn't really comfortable, and I really just tried to make my family work, and make for the safety of my daughter, and being present in her life.
All right, so did there come a point in time that you and Sierra Day separated?
Yes, it did.
All right, and about when was that?
That was about, it was the winter time, I want to say of 2016,
Okay, and,
November to be exact.
all right, November of 2016. Where were you working at the time, sir?
At that time, I was working for Downtown Cleveland Alliance.
All right, were you also working for Constantino Market?
Yes, I was.
All right, and so when you decided to move out, what did Sierra and Aniya do? Did they stay at that apartment or did they move?
They weren't there no more than a couple months. They moved.
All right, and did they tell you where they moved?
Yes, I did later find out.
Where did she move to?
She had moved to Harbor Crest.
All right. And, so with regards to your relationship at the time, how would you describe it? Was it still amicable or had it gotten a little bit more solid?
Definitely, I would say soured. I was just really doing whatever was best for Aniya. I was over the whole relationship thing. It's just whatever's best for our daughter is what I'm here. I was there for.
Did she ask you to leave the apartment?
Yes.
And how did that go?
I don't really like confrontation, so it was getting bad. And before it got too bad, I removed myself and I packed all my bags and I left. It was I was finding my things in the garbage, and, just finding signs of, wanting me out. So,
Okay. So where did you move to at the time?
at the time, I moved with my aunt.
And where did your aunt live?
She lived in Euclid, Ohio.
All right. And at this point, did you have any method or mode of transportation?
Yes, I did.
All right. And how did you get around?
At the time, I had a car, type of car trouble. It took about, I'd say, almost 6 months to a year before I actually got my car back. So I was taking public transportation on the bus, or I did.
All right. Now, you indicated to us that in January of 2016, she moved over to Harbor Crest. Did you help her move?
No,
Were you still communicating with her?
yes,
Were you seeing Aniya?
from time to time, yes.
All right, please tell me what you mean from time to time.
Well, I would always get Aniyas as often as possible. I would go to work as early as 7 in the morning and get off at midnight. So for the most part, I would get Aniyas on the weekends.
Okay, and when you got her on the weekends, where would you bring her?
I took her home with me to my aunt.
Okay, so how long did you stay at your aunt's house?
Stayed there almost a year, I want to say, before I got my own place again.
Okay, and during that time, about how often would you see Aniya?
At least every other week, almost every other week.
And did you know what daycare she was going to?
It got confusing. At the time, I did. She was going to the Harbor Crest daycare.
And did you find yourself going to Harbor Crest to see her on occasion?
Yes.
And would the child care workers allow you to come in?
You said the child care workers or the daycare workers?
I'm sorry, the daycare workers.
Yes, they did.
All right, so the daycare workers would allow you in. Was your name on an emergency contact at the daycare?
Yes, it was.
All right, and so were there occasions where you would just go in and visit with her at the daycare?
Yes.
And how often would you do that?
Sometimes I would go before work, but I would do that at least 3-4 times a month.
All right, and during the times that you went there, did you notice anything about Aniya that caused you any concern or any moments of pause?
At that time, no.
Right? And were you still paying child support?
Yes, I was.
Were your wages being attached?
Yes, they were.
All right. Did you have any conversations with Sierra Day about having some type of a formal visitation schedule with her?
Yes, I did.
All right. And did you and her talk about that?
Yes, we did.
And were you able to come to any type of an agreement about that?
No, we did not.
All right. Can you tell me what you shared with her or what you would like to do with regards to seeing your daughter at that time?
Yes, at that time, I would let her know that I wanted to, be present in my daughter's life. as much as possible, and at least every other weekend, I would like to get Aniya. And that agreement didn't stick at all. There were times where she would lie to me, say she was out of town or something like that. So, and then when I tried to go and fight to the courts and get an emergency custody hearing, that's when I received papers about a restraining order.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. Before we even get to the restraining order, does there come a point in time in September of 2017 that Aniya comes to your home?
Yes.
All right, now, in September of 2017, where are you living?
September 2017, I was still living in East Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, who were you living with?
Me and my fiance, Mike's body.
Okay, and does she have children?
Yes, she does.
How many children does she have?
2 boys.
How old are the boys?
Jameer is 5 and Jeremiah is 9.
All right, were they living in the home with you?
Yes, they were.
And did Maya have possession, care, and custody of those 2 boys?
Yes, she does.
All right, and so during that time, do you also, is this a single family home or an apartment?
This is a 2-family. Upstairs and down.
A duplex,
Yes.
okay, fair enough. And did you have a room for Aniya?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's all.
she had her own room.
Yes.
So in September of 2017, does she come over to your house to visit with you?
Yes, she does.
How does she get there?
I went and picked her up from her mother's home.
Okay, and where was she living in September of 2017?
She was still living in Harborcrest.
All right, and at this point in time, were you made aware that Sierra was dating somebody,
No, I was not.
right? And so when you go and pick her up, tell me the circumstances of that.
When I went and picked Aniya up, sometimes it was a little more challenging than others. There were times Sierra would give me, bring my daughter to me and with nothing. I mean, no toothbrush, no underwear, anything. I will make sure she has what she needs always. Just kept the confrontation down and we would just come for Aniya. So I would get Aniya and go on with my life, with my family.
All right, so in September now of 2017, do you get Aniya?
Yes, I did.
All right, and when you got Aniya, what were your observations of this child on that particular day?
When I got Aniya, I had to work later on that evening. And while I was at work, before I went to work, we had a great time. Went out to lunch, had a lot of fun. Later on that evening, while working, I got a call from my fiance, Mai, was stating that she had noticed. Yes.
You can't say what she noticed or what she said to you,
Okay.
but as a result of your conversation with Maya that she called you at work,
Mhm.
what did you do?
I told my job that I needed to leave.
And about what time in the evening did you receive that phone call, sir?
Approximately almost 9 p.m.
All right, so did you leave your employment?
No, I had to stay the shift. I had to stay my full shift. I got off at 11 o'clock,
Okay,
11 p.m.
all right, so when you get off at 11 o'clock, what do you do?
As soon as I got home, Aniya would always run right into my arms. So I held my baby and I just gave her all the love I could give her. I didn't want her to really know, what was going on.
All right,
So I examined her body.
all right, and as you were examining her body, what did you visibly
Yes.
observe?
I visibly observed a bruise in my daughter's chest area and her lower back.
All right. Did you talk to her about that?
My daughter?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you ask her how that came to be?
Yes, I did.
And was she able to provide you some information?
Yes, she did. She seemed a little confused, as if she didn't really know what to say. And so
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
and would say that mommy pushed me up the stairs. And she would also say, I would ask her, who hit you? And she would shove her shoulders real quietly. And I tell her, you can talk to me. Tell me anything. You can talk to me. And it was just real tough. It's like she wanted to speak out and say something, but it's almost like she was told to be quiet and not say anything.
All right. So based on your observations and based on, now, did you look at her from head to toe?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Other than the bruises and the marks that you've already testified to, did you notice anything else on this child's body?
The fact that her tooth was loose and it was starting to rot, and I was very concerned about that. And I had been asking, when's Aniya's dentist appointment? Had she been to the dentist and things like that? But mom would never follow up with me with anything.
All right. So as a result of those observations and you talking to your daughter, sir, what do you do?
At that time, we called the police immediately that night and filed a police report with East Cleveland Police.
Did you also cause to take some photographs of Aniya?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And who took those photographs?
I did.
Hey, approach her.
Nay.
Mr. Garrett, handing you is marked State's Exhibit 701 to 705. I'd like you just to take a moment and look at those photographs.
Okay.
You recognize those photographs?
Yes, I do.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately represent photographs that you took on that September day in 2017
Yes, it
of your
does.
daughter, Aniya?
Yes.
Starting with State's Exhibit 701, what are these photographs depicting for us?
Okay, so these photos here shows the bruises on Aniya's chest area. She also has a scab sore mark there. I'm not sure about the neck area. It looks a little dark, but I wasn't sure. I was a little more concerned about her chest and her back because I did notice that those were bruises for sure.
All right, State's Exhibit 702. What is State's Exhibit 702 showing us?
State Exhibit 702 shows us the lower part of Aniya's back. Her lower back side shows a large bruise area there. Looked like it could have been a hand mark or something.
This thing.
You just noticed that these were bruises on her body.
Yes.
All right, State's Exhibit 703.
State Exhibit 703, same as its Exhibit 702, lower back area bruises.
704.
704, State Exhibit, Aniya's left tooth area, rotten and loose tooth.
All right, and 705.
I think 705 is just a beautiful picture of me and my children happy. I think
right.
Aniya was fine here.
All right, that's the end of that correction.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you document these photographs. Obviously, you think it's serious. So you call the police department. Do you actually go to the police department, sir?
No, they actually came to us.
Okay. And when they come to you, do you make a report?
Yes, we did.
All right. And as part of that report, who do you allege as being the perpetrator of these injuries?
Her mom, Aniya's mom,
And that would be,
Sierra Day.
okay. And you provide all that information to the police officer.
Yes, I did.
Do you also provide these photographs to the police officer?
Yes, I did.
All right. And so how long then do you keep her that weekend?
Kept Aniya as long as we could. I believe, I want to say it was probably a Sunday that we took her back home. Try to keep her for the weekends.
Okay. And so you notice these injuries on her. So when you took her back, did you have a conversation with Sierra Day?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to her, Mr. Garrett?
Well, while trying to talk to her, she wasn't trying to talk to me at all. Wasn't trying to speak back. She didn't talk back.
All right. Did you ask her what the hell's going on?
Yes, of course I did. Even contacted her ahead of time when I first noticed the bruises, and she stated to me that her brother had hit her or something like that on her behind.
Okay. And so she provided you an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Based on her providing you an explanation, sir, what did you do next or what happened next?
I told her that I was very unhappy that Aniya has these bruises on her, that I was not made aware. And that our daughter's safety is most important, more important than anything. I would always let her know that I want to know what's going on in Aniya's life always.
And was she able to provide you an answer to that?
No, she did not.
All right. What else did you say to her during that contact?
During that contact, I stated that I was going to do whatever it took to figure out what exactly is going on in the household, because it's very unlikely to see these bruises on my daughter. And this has never happened until this day. And once I found out, I told her it's got to stop, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure this don't happen to Aniya again.
All right. And so in your efforts to try to prevent this from happening again, sir, what do you do now? You turn to the courts.
Yes, I did. I turned to the courts. I filed a motion to go and try to get custody of Aniya.
All right. And was there some paperwork that was filed against you?
Yes.
Did you come to learn that there was a temporary protection order that was filed against you?
Yes, I did.
How did you come to find that out, sir?
I came to find that out after approximately September 27th of 2017, which was around the last time we had seen Aniya. Mom had stated, I was trying to, like I said, always get Aniya at least every other weekend. But Mom started sending me text messages when I was trying to get her and say that she was out of town. And her being out of town probably lasted about a month and a half before I actually went up to Miss Day's daycare, get ready, set, grow. And I noticed that Sierra was working. So when I noticed that she was working, I did not see Aniya present. Aniya was attending Get Ready, Set, Grow daycare at that time.
And when was that, sir? What was the date of that, if you recall?
September, the end of September 2017.
After you made your police report?
Correct.
Okay, so now you go to Get Ready, Set, Grow. What happens when you go there?
Okay, so I'm sorry. So about a month later, after that end of September, I was trying to see Aniya, and it had been a while. And Mom, like I said, was saying that she was out of town. They were out of town. I noticed that she was at the daycare, and that's when I actually started taking more action and getting custody of Aniya. And I hired an attorney at the time. And I also, 2 days later, after recognizing Sierra was actually here in town, I received papers from the courts saying that I have a restraining order against me for my daughter.
May I approach her?
Right.
to 907.
Mr. Garrett, handing you what's been previously marked and shown to defense. States Exhibit 903 to 907. I'd like you just to take a moment to review each one of those documents.
All right, Mr. Garrett, let's start with State's Exhibit 903. Can you tell me what that document is? And did you receive that document?
Yes, this is a Division of Domestic Relations. I did receive this paperwork also.
What is that?
It's a petitioner statement from Ms. Day, restraining order.
All right, so she filed a restraining order against you.
Yes, she did.
And what was the date of that restraining order, sir?
October 30th, 2017.
All right, and that is after you had gone to the police department about the injuries that you had seen on Aniya.
Yes.
All right, State's Exhibit 904. What is that document?
State Exhibit 904. Court of Common Pleas. It's a motion that I started for custody.
All right, and was that filed, sir, on your behalf?
Yes, it was.
All right, and before we go any further, going back to State's Exhibit number 903, the protection order, what was she alleging that you had done, sir?
Wow. She was stating that I would, I guess, harass her and stalk her and my daughter. She stated that I would come up to her job and threaten her and threaten my daughter. None of it was true. A lot of it was scribbled out. She messed up on a lot of her words, so it's kind of hard to read.
All right, and so at any point in time, sir, did you go to get ready, set, grow, and cause any scene with regards to Sierra Day?
Not after the one time when I went there.
All right, and any time after that one time, did you go back
Never,
and do
no.
anything to cause any harm to Sierra Day and or your daughter Aniya Day?
Absolutely not.
All right, so you get this temporary restraining order, then you start filing your own motions.
Yes.
All right, moving on to State's Exhibit 905. What is that document?
905, the magistrate, it looks like he had granted my court order, and we had a hearing set for 124, and Ms. Day did not show up for it.
Okay, and during this time now, we have September, October, November, and December of 2017. After September 26th, when you took the photographs of that child, did you physically see her again?
No, I did not.
All right. Did you try to see her?
Yes, of course.
Did you call Miss Day, and tell her you wanted to see your daughter?
Not after they put this restraining order against me,
Okay,
but beforehand, yes.
all right. And the holidays came and went. You had Halloween, you had Thanksgiving. Did you see her on Halloween?
Halloween? No, I did not.
Did you see her at Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving? No, I didn't.
All right. And Christmas?
No.
All right. During this time, did you have contact with any of her family members?
One of her siblings, her sister.
Okay. Now, before we talk about that, let's finish up with our documents there. State's Exhibit 906. What is State's Exhibit 906?
State Exhibit 906, Court of Common Pleas, Division of Domestic Relations. It looks like there was a continuance for our motion, which was set for March 15th, 2018.
Okay, and State's Exhibit 907.
Yes, this looks like this is from domestic relations. So this is something Ms. Day had filed here. I don't really recall getting a copy of this here. Well, yes, I think I did.
Okay, all right, so that was all documentation that related to either the protection order that was filed against you and/or your filing of trying to get some more custody rights of your daughter, Aniyas.
Yes.
All right. Now, in December of 2017, did you have contact with Miss Day's family members?
Oh, sorry, what was that time frame again?
December 2017.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Who did you have contact with?
Erica Johnson.
All right. Did you call her or did she call you?
We called each other.
Okay. And did you have a conversation with Erica Johnson?
Yes, I did.
All right. Without telling us what Ms. Johnson said to you,
Mhm.
what did you do as a result of your conversation with Ms. Johnson?
Oh, wow. Most of the times we would talk, I was at work, and I would contact my attorney, because I had an attorney at the time, and we were just trying to just speed this process up so we could get Aniya. You know, it had almost been 7 months since I had last seen Aniya, so we was just really trying to, you know, it was all on the court's time, so when they got these dates set, you know, just kind of got to go by these dates that they have in place.
And during this time, did you see Aniyas?
No. I
Had
never-
Erica seen Aniyas?
No, she hadn't.
And would you and Erica commiserate about your concerns?
Yes.
And during this time, did you talk to any other family member, or did any other family member on the day side contact you?
No.
And during this time, did you come to learn that Sierra Day was dating Deontay Lewis?
No.
When did you first learn that Sierra Day was dating Deontay Lewis?
The very first time we had a court hearing, after my daughter's life was lost.
All right. And prior to that, you did not know that she was dating him?
Never.
Did you, sir, contact in September of 2017, after you contacted the police, did you also contact, or did the police contact Children and Family Services?
I did contact Children and Family Services myself. I'm not sure if the police did.
Okay. And in addition to contacting Children and Family Services, did you yourself take it upon yourself to contact the daycare and check on your daughter?
Yes, I did.
And who did you speak with, sir?
I spoke to a lady by the name of Chantel.
Okay. And without telling us what she said to you, what kinds of questions were you asking of Chantel?
When was the last time Aniya had been in daycare? I wanted to know, it was Aniya safe? Was she okay? Was she healthy? When the last time she had seen Aniya, she had stated.
Can't say what
I'm
she
sorry,
said to you.
Exactly.
It's okay. But did there come a point in time that you learned that no one had seen Aniya?
Objection.
Yes.
Overall.
And did that cause you more concern?
Yes, it did.
And Mr. Gary, how did you come to learn your daughter's death?
I got a call on March 11th From Erica Johnson.
And without telling me what Erica said to you, sir, what did you do and where did you go?
I was home with my fiance, and I think I lost it. I lost it. My mind just could not bear to think about something like that, not in a billion years. My life, just everything just turned, I believe we went down to the detective office following that and spoke about to them about Aniya.
Okay, so you went to the Euclid Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to provide them some information that you've provided here to us today?
Yes.
Now, you indicated to us that you went to the daycare. You already said Grove to see Sierra and Aniya. After you returned Aniya, after the September 2017, when you took photographs, right?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you and Sierra have a physical altercation in front of anybody?
No.
Did you cause any type of scene?
No.
Did you see your daughter that day?
I did not.
When you were at Get Ready, Set, Grow, did you talk to any of the workers?
No, I didn't that day. I didn't see anybody. When I walked in, it was dark inside. Actually, I did. I did see a worker. It was a new lady. I never met her before. But she showed me the room that Miss Dave was working in. And that's when I politely went to that door and kept all peace. And I asked her, where's Aniya? I want to see my baby.
And do you remember, sir, the day you went there? Do you remember where, after the September incident at your home, where you called the police, but before December, did you go before Christmas or after Christmas?
It was before Christmas.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And do you remember what day of the week you went?
I went between Wednesday and Friday.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you did not see your daughter in class.
No, I didn't.
Was she even in the building?
I'm not sure.
One moment, Your Honor.
Right.
Now, Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
at any point in time during your court proceedings, did you come to learn that Sierra Day had moved to Cultural Gardens?
No,
Did you know at all that she was even living there?
I didn't.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Cross examine,
No questions for this witness, Judge.
Ms. Longino.
Yeah, Mr. Garrett, when you went to the daycare and spoke with Ms. Chantel, did you ever come to learn when was the last time Aniya had been at that daycare?
No, I didn't. I didn't never find out.
Okay. And had you seen Aniya between the months of June 2017 up until September 2017 when you saw her and saw these bruises on her?
Yes, I did see my baby in between then, but we didn't recognize the bruises until September.
Okay, so from June to September, you saw no bruises up until September?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Mr. Garrett, when Ms. Longino asked you about that, September of 2017, and in fact, September 26th of 2017,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
And Sierra was living in Harbor Crest
Yes, she was.
with your daughter,
Yes.
and you don't know who else she may or may not have been dating at the time.
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any follow-up? No? You may step down. Thank you very much.
And spell your last name for the court reporter.
Corey McFadden, McFadden.
And are you employed, sir?
I am
Where are you employed?
with the City of Cleveland, Cleveland Division of Police,
And in what capacity?
patrol officer,
How long have you been a patrol officer with the Cleveland Police Department?
2.5 years.
Prior to joining the Cleveland Police Department, do you have any law enforcement experience?
I do not.
Did you receive any training and certifications in order to become a police officer?
I did.
And can you explain that to the jury?
I have a degree in law enforcement, and I attended police academy with Ohio State Highway Patrol.
And when was that, sir?
2016 through 17.
Sir, were you working on September 1st of 2017?
I was,
And were you working with a partner on that night?
yes,
What's your partner's name?
David Fox.
And did you respond to a call at 3322 West 73rd Street in Cleveland, Ohio on that date?
Yes, we did.
And do you know what the nature of that call was?
For a child potentially being abused.
And do you recall what time you got to this home on September 1st of 2017?
Early afternoon. I don't recall the exact time.
And when you get to the home, who do you speak with?
The father, Michael Garrett.
So you spoke with Michael Garrett. Was anyone else present?
His daughter was.
Do you know what his daughter's name was?
Yes, Aniya Garrett,
And do you recall how old she was at the time?
3 years old.
Was anyone else at the home that you recall?
I have not talked to anyone else.
Did you see the child and Michael Garrett interact with one another?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe their interactions?
I would expect a small girl to be with her father. She's very timid and shy around us. She wasn't afraid or anything, just stood by his side.
She sat by his side.
Stood by his side. We're standing outside.
And did you have a conversation with Michael Garrett?
We did.
And based on that conversation, what did you do?
We contacted 696 Kids to follow up to see if the child was having a safe life and being well taken care of.
So why did you call 696 Kids?
The father found bruising. He showed us on her cheek, and he said on her chest. At the time, we couldn't really tell what they were from. They were very minor, and it looked like it could have been old. We couldn't tell like she was really being abused or she fell. So he contacted 696 Kids to follow up with it.
Did you personally observe the child?
Only on her cheek. We didn't take her shirt off or anything like that.
What specifically did you see on her cheek?
Like a fading, small bruise.
You said you never looked at her body, her bare body?
No.
Did you see any markings on her neck?
No.
And after you do this, this is when you call 696 Kids.
Yes.
I have one moment here.
Thank you.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Us?
No questions on that, Judge.
No question, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down. Have a good day. You too.
Good afternoon, Ms. James. Good afternoon. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
Tawana, James, James.
And ma'am, by whom are you employed?
Children and Family Services,
How long have you so been gainfully employed by them?
6 years.
And what kind of training and experience have you obtained in order for you to maintain your position with the Department of Children and Family Services?
Well, first we have 3 months of training with the agency, and we have ongoing training every year. I have a master's degree in criminal justice administration.
All right, and when were you first hired by Children and Family Services?
2012.
All right, and in 2012, did you have the ordinary training that they provide to their social workers?
Yes.
And what label or what title were you hired as?
Social worker 3.
Okay, and with regards to your title and when you're hired, just tell me, did you have all the proper training that the agency provides to you?
Yes.
Did you go through the 8 modules of investigating a case?
Yes.
And did you then go to the transitional unit?
Transitional unit didn't exist when I started.
Okay, tell me what existed when you started. Did the 8 models exist?
Yes.
Okay, and just briefly, can you go through, what are those 8 models?
I can't remember that off the top of my head.
Suffice it to say, is there like a protocol or a checklist that you go through from the time a referral is made to the time a case is either closed or it's set off into ongoing services?
Right.
Okay, so you've been trained in all those things?
Yes.
Okay, and so with regards to when you got hired, once you finished your basic training, where did you go then? Or how did you obtain your cases?
When I first started, I was in the START unit in ongoing services. START stands for Sobriety Treatment and Recovery Team.
Okay,
So I stayed there for the first 4 years.
all right, and then after, now this team, did you work along with social workers, or did you get your own cases wherein folks had some type of sobriety issues?
No, when I first started, I personally, I shadowed what other people work with me, but I didn't get cases right off top.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get cases as soon as I started. I worked with other workers.
Okay, so you worked right along, shadowing, if you will?
Right.
Okay, how long did you do that?
I don't recall, a couple weeks I did that, then I started receiving my own cases.
I'm sorry?
I believe I did that for a few weeks, and then I started to receive my own cases.
All right, once you received your own cases, were you gainfully employed by Children and Family Services back on May of 2017?
Yes,
And what department were you working in at the time?
I was a short-term services kid.
All right, explain to us, what is short-term services?
Short-term services is when we get a case and we investigate the allegations on the case.
All right, were you so gainfully employed by the Department of Children and Family Services back on May of 2017? Aniya Day Garrett.
Yes,
All right, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how did you first become involved in the case and what did you initially do?
well, I was already in the field working on another case, and I received a call from my supervisor regarding the emergency. When we receive an emergency, we have to act immediately and go out.
Okay, when you say emergency, back in 2017, were there priority calls?
Yes,
How many priorities did you have, and can you define them for me?
how many priorities I have?
Is it priority?
Levels.
The levels. Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3.
Oh yeah, we had emergency, traditional, and AR.
Okay, so what does an emergency mean?
Emergency means I have to go out right now. Well, I have an hour to get there to investigate the allegations.
All right, what's the next level?
Traditional, I have 24 hours to get out there.
All right,
And AR is 3 days, but you still need to make each, for traditional and AR, you need to at least make a phone call to schedule an appointment. If not, just go out.
What does AR stand for?
I don't remember.
Okay, all right, just take a deep breath. Okay? So this was an emergency. So where were you on the field and where did you have to go?
I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember I had to go to Euclid Hospital.
All right, and did you go to Euclid Hospital?
Yes.
What happened when you went to Euclid Hospital?
When I went to Euclid Hospital, I spoke with an officer. I don't recall his name. He gave me a little update on what was going on. Then he gave me past reports from the daycare. And then after I spoke to him, I went to the room where Aniya was, Aniya and the daycare teacher. And there
Okay,
was a nurse in there too.
all right. Initially, Miss James, what were your observations of Aniyah?
Well, initially she had a mark on her nose, like a scrape, it was a scab. Then I was shown the scrape mark she had in her head.
All right. And did you also see the blood in your ear?
Yes.
All right. And so based on that information and your observations, what did you do?
Well, I don't remember who I talked to first, but I know I questioned the nurse, the daycare teacher, and Aniya.
Okay, did you do it all at one time or did you do it separately?
We were all in the same room, but I asked each one individually questions.
Okay, and with regards to the daycare worker, was she able to provide you some information,
A little here.
right? With regards to the nurse, was she able to provide you information?
Yes.
With regards to Aniyah, did you speak to her directly?
Yes.
And what kind of information were you trying to obtain from Aniyah?
What happened to her? I needed to know what happened to her.
Right, was Aniyah able to tell you what happened to her?
At first she wouldn't. She was like very timid. She wouldn't talk to me, so I got her some candy.
Okay, did you give her some candy?
The daycare worker actually had some fruit snacks or something.
And did they give her some fruit snacks?
Yes.
All right, and were you able then to talk to her?
Yes.
Did she tell you what had happened to her?
I did. I asked her where did she get her boo-boo from, and she said, Mommy did.
Okay, and so as a result of your conversation with Aniyah, what do you do next?
I believe I talked to the nurse. And I asked the nurse, could she tell me what this mark could be, the scratch or whatever it could be? And did she see this as abuse?
All right, and is that typical of social workers to talk to the medical professionals with regards to what they see, what they observe?
Yes.
All right, and based on the information that you received from those three folks, do you also have a responsibility to talk to the mother and father of the child?
Yes.
All right, did you do that in this case, Pam?
I talked to Mom. I was told Dad was going around.
Okay, and so with regards to Mom, where did you meet with Mom?
I met with her in the waiting room. She wasn't in the same room with me.
Okay, did you meet with her?
Yes.
Did you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Did you tell her why you were there?
Yes.
All right, and at the time that you talked to Mom, do you have those other reports of situations at the daycare?
I don't know if I had them first before I talked to her or after I talked to her. I'm not really sure. I can't remember the timeline.
Okay, all right, so when you talk to Mom, what is your purpose in talking to Mom?
To find out what happened.
All right, did you talk to her?
Yes.
All right, and what kinds of questions did you ask her? And what kind of information did you derive from her?
I basically asked a question to as to what happened to Anaya, whether she received marks. Was she aware that Anaya had any marks? And like where was that? I went over those questions.
Okay, did she provide you some answers?
Well, as far as the marks, she said she didn't have any marks that morning. She doesn't know where they came from. She said that Anaya was with someone else last night. Maybe she could have been hurt while playing with other kids.
Did she provide you the names of people she was with the night before?
No, I can't recall. I won't say no.
Okay, all right. So what other information did she provide to you?
In regards to dad, she told me he worked 3 jobs. He doesn't come around. He has nothing to do with his daughter, and she doesn't have his number or his address. And she's only able to speak with him through Facebook Messenger sometimes.
Okay, and so based on that information then, what do you do as part of your protocol in this investigation?
Well, being that we didn't have a lot, was speaking with the nurse, I couldn't get any information from them regarding like she was abused. And since we didn't know, I ended up I spoke to my supervisor and told her what was going on. And then we decided to have a unofficial safety plan where,
And what does that mean, unofficial safety
I
plan?
mean, we agreed that the child is removed from mom's care until we can have the staffing, but it's unofficial because it's not signed. If we normally have an official safety plan, then it will be signed off on and all participants agree to it.
So what causes you to have an unofficial safety plan, ma'am?
Because there are still unanswered questions. So we felt it necessary to have a staffing at the building in the morning to go over everything.
All right, so question is, what happens to the child?
I took the child over, well, I asked mom for someone that Anaya is comfortable with. And she told me she was comfortable with a woman named Charlene. That's who normally babysits for her when mom has to do what she needs to do.
Okay,
So I got Charlene's name, I gave it to my supervisor ran a background check on her.
did Charlene have a last name?
I'm gonna say Wagner.
All right, so is it protocol to run a background check on any person who's going to take custody of a child?
Right.
Okay, so your supervisor did that?
Right.
All right, so what do you do next?
Then after that, I had to check out Charlene's house, make sure it was appropriate, make sure she had what was needed in the home, make sure there were no hazards in the home, and also to speak to Charlene regarding mom and life.
Okay, did you go to Charlene's house?
Yes,
All right, what were your observations of Charlene's home? Was it an appropriate environment for this child?
yes,
Did she have enough food and heat?
she had food, all the basic needs. She had a bed in the back that she normally uses for Anaya when she spends the night.
And did Charlene have her own children?
Her child was grown.
Okay, so an older woman?
Yes,
Okay, so once you did that, did you place Anaya in her care for the evening?
for the evening, yes.
All right, and did you explain to Ms. Day why you were doing that?
Yes,
Why did you do that?
because we had so many unanswered questions, we need to make sure, we needed to find out what was going on with this child.
All
And we
right,
just felt it was safer for her, for her to go somewhere else until we figure this out.
okay, so what happens the next day?
The next day we had a staffing. At
All
the
right.
agency.
I'm
At
sorry,
the agency, I'm sorry.
okay, a staff, what does that mean and who are your participants?
The staffing is a meeting that we have when we discuss, we put everything on the table and we discuss it.
Okay,
At the meeting, it was, of course, myself, mom, but I did tell mom said the child was with other people before. I did tell mom to bring those people. She didn't. But it was 2 supervisors, the facilitator, mom, a collab worker, and myself.
All right, well, let's talk about this. So who are the 2 supervisors that participate in the staffing?
It's their names.
Yeah.
Kelly, I forget her last name. And then the facilitator supervisor, I don't know her name, but she was actually in there to check on her workers, the facilitators, make sure they were doing their job right. The collab worker, her name is Sherry, and mom, Sierra, Margo.
Okay, and during the staffing, are you provided any other reports that have come to the agency?
No, I just had the reports that the officer gave me, and I presented them at the staff.
Okay, and have there been any other referrals at this point with regards to Aniyah?
Before I had the case,
Yes,
there was a referral before I had the case, yes.
okay. Do you take that into consideration?
Yes,
Do you review that documentation and what the allegations were and who the participants were with regards to that referral?
yes,
All right, is that all reviewed by you and the supervisors, the facilitator, collaborative?
yes.
Is medical also included in this?
I don't remember having any medical at that time, but we did request medical with after we get a release of information from mom.
Okay. And so what happens during the staffing with regards to this case?
Well, we went over everything. We brought up, I made sure they, everyone read the reports from the daycare. I actually had pictures on my phone and I showed everyone what I seen at the hospital for Aniyah. We went over her past case, if that was an unsubstantiated case. This basically what we doing a meeting to discuss everything.
So unofficially, did you offer them services?
Mom, I
Yes.
did offer her services. She said she was interested in the collab, which, like I said, Sherry was there. She was interested in swimming, a CDA for herself.
Okay, you have to slow down here.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So the collab, what do you mean?
It's a community collaborative where they, it's a facility where they help parents do certain things. They can help you get into counseling. They can help you with Ohio Benefits Bank. They can help you with food banks, anger management, lawyers if you need be.
Okay, so there's a collaborative. She was living in the city of Euclid at the time?
Right.
Was there a Euclid collaborative?
Right.
All right, and so what kinds of services did you offer and that did she accept?
I offered her those services with the collab and also supportive services because her mom said that Aniyah had a behavioral issue. So she said that we were going to have her tested.
Okay, what kind of behavioral issue did this child have?
Well, she said that maybe when she's around other people, she just acts out of control and she lies a lot.
Okay, during your observations of Aniyah, did you see her acting out?
She was very shy with me. She was with the daycare worker just sitting there. She didn't really do much when I was there.
Okay, and this is when you were at the hospital.
Right.
Now, did she bring her to the staffing?
No, Charlene, the one we left her with, she took her to the daycare for us the next morning.
All right, so did you ever see Aniyah again?
No,
All right, so you provided this collaborative stuff. You provided, what were the services again?
she wanted the CDA service, I believe that's what it's called, for herself.
For herself.
Mom,
Okay, what's a
And then she-
CDA?
it's some certification for daycare or something like that.
Okay,
She wanted swimming lessons for her and
When you say for her,
Aniya, sorry,
okay,
for Aniya. And it was some other services that were offered by the collab as well for Aniya. And then the supportive services referral was something separate.
okay, and what are those supportive services?
Those supportive services, that was to see if Aniya did have a behavioral problem, and if she did, they could help her with that.
All right, and who was going to be taking care of that?
I did the referrals.
Okay, and then when you do these referrals, then do you also get an answer back from the referrals to see how these referrals have gone?
Most of the time. I know I received one from the collab saying that they have contacted mom. I
Okay,
don't recall one from the supportive services.
okay, did you do any follow-up on that, Ms. James?
I don't remember.
All right, well, once you have the staffing then, what else is part and parcel of your responsibility?
After we have the staff, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
After we have the staffing, we couldn't prove, during staffing, we couldn't prove or disprove their mom actually hurt her child on purpose. So that's what I did, put the services in the home.
Okay, and once you put the services in a home, is there follow-up that your agency does? How does that work?
The collab followed up with us, like I said, and, the MSC, I didn't wait for them. I don't recall them calling me. Normally they call to say if they contacted mom or have not contacted mom, but I don't recall it. But I,
All right, and this is in May of 2017.
right.
Now, is there a time that you are contacted again with regards to this case, or is that solely your involvement?
That's it.
So how then, after the staffing, how is the case left?
Well, after the staff, like I said, we couldn't prove anything, so I throw the services in the home. It's like a third and fourth eye with two different services. So if something is going on, someone will report.
And did you receive any reports after that?
No,
And ma'am, did you have any other contact with Aniya Day or her case at that point?
not that I can think of.
One moment. Thank you. No further questions.
Cross,
Nothing on that, Judge, thank you.
Ms. Longino,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Steptown, thank you very much.
Do you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Chantel Milton, Chantle, Milton, Milton.
And ma'am, are you currently employed?
Yes, I am,
Where are you employed at?
at the Cleveland Clinic.
How long have you been employed at Cleveland Clinic?
Like a month and a half now.
Prior to being employed at the Cleveland Clinic, were you employed at a daycare entitled Get Ready, Get Set, Grow?
Yes, I Get Ready, Set, Grow.
Get Ready, Set, Grow. When did you begin working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
2013.
And when did you stop working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
November of 2018.
What was your position at the daycare?
I was a preschool toddler teacher during the day. Did transportation routes in the mornings, did transportation routes in the afternoon, then I was a school day teacher in the evening.
So the morning shift ran from what to what time?
Well, the center opens at 6:30.
Okay. What were your hours at the center?
My hours were 6:30, sometimes 5 to 5, and sometimes to 5:30, just depending on the ratio of the children.
Okay. And what sort of training experience did you have to have in order to do the jobs you did there?
I had to have transportation, bus transportation training, CPR, first aid, child abuse, and then like whatever other extra training things this child would take.
And what extra trainings, if any, did you use?
Just like if you wanted to do like team buildings, whatever age groups you work with, stuff like that, nothing that you just had to do.
During your time at Get Ready, Set, Grow, do you have occasion to interact with a senior or a
Yes.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please identify her?
Stipulate that she can identify Sierra.
Very good, son of it.
Thank you, counsel. When did you first, or what were your first interactions with Ms. Day?
When she started at the facility in 2014.
Okay. And when she started at the facility, were you aware that she had a child?
I did.
Was her daughter attending that facility?
She was not.
What was, if you recall, Ms. Day's assignment at Get Ready, Set Grow?
Now, when she started, I believe she was an infant teacher.
So were you all teaching the same class?
No,
Were you in a classroom together?
no,
Were you ever teaching the same group
No.
of students together?
no.
Okay. Did there come a point in time when Aniyas started coming to the daycare?
Yes,
And how old was Aniyah when she started coming to the daycare?
she was 3.
When Aniyah started coming to the daycare, was Sierra still working there?
Yes.
What class should Aniyah have been in when she was at the daycare?
Well, 3 is classified as preschool.
So who would have been her teacher?
Her mom.
So Aniya's coming to a daycare with her mom being the teacher.
Yes.
What interactions, if any, did you have with Aniya?
Well, she worked mid-shift, so it was like she was coming in during nap time. So I would be in my classroom doing my own thing. And then she would walk down the hall with Aniya and go to her classroom because it was nap time. So she was basically coming in to do start breaks pretty much.
So Aniya would come into the daycare when her mom, Sierra, would report to work.
Yes, she didn't come every day, but when she came, she would come in with her mom.
What do you mean she didn't?
She didn't attend daycare every day.
Okay. Outside of the daycare, did you have any interactions with Sierra?
No,
Did you ever have a conversation with Sierra about where Aniya was when she was not at the daycare?
no, because my child at the time went there too. So like if I just choose to, if you can go to a family member house or however, it just was not my business to ask.
I want to turn your attention to January 16th of 2018. Do you recall working at the daycare on that day?
Yes.
What were your observations and interactions with Sierra and Aniya on January 16th of 2018?
She came in for her shift. They walked down the hall.
And when you say she, are you referring to
Sierra.
Sierra?
Her and I walked down the hall like they usually do, come in, walk to the classroom. I was still in my room. I was actually cleaning up because they had like a mess of lunch. I was still cleaning up. And I want to say maybe about 30 minutes later, she came to my room to let me know, like, I guess Aniya had got sick in the bathroom and that she needed to get ready to leave. And I said, well, you need to call the owner and that, because I can't give you clearance to leave.
Okay.
And she said, okay, and she left out. They both left out.
When you were working with Sierra, did you ever see any males come to the daycare with her?
Towards like, I want to say right before she stopped working there, I guess at the time it was her boyfriend. He would just, come, drop them off, and well, I can't tell you about pickup because I wasn't there when she left.
The boyfriend that you would see coming to Sierra, with Sierra to drop her off. You see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please identify him and describe him for the record?
He has on a green shirt and a brown vest.
May the record please reflect that the witness is identified the defendant, Deontay Lewis.
May so reflect.
Thank you. You say you would start seeing Mr. Lewis come to the daycare right around the time Sierra stopped working there, correct?
It was towards, I want to say, maybe about November-ish, because it was winter time. So that's how I can remember.
And what year are we talking about? November 2017?
2017, yes.
When you would see Mr. Lewis come to the daycare with Sierra, would he interact with anybody?
No, he would just come in, make sure they came in, make sure they got down the stairs, and he would leave.
Did you ever have any interactions or come to be aware of Aniya's biological father?
Yes.
And what were your interactions with him?
Well, I already knew of him prior to the situation at hand. He came in one day and brought, like, I think it was like a Monday, because he was bringing Aniya back, I guess from like a weekend. I don't know if he might have had her over the weekend. He was bringing her back, came in, he said, hey, how you doing? Took her down to her classroom. We got ready to leave out. He said, have a good day. That was, I want to say it was like September.
2017?
Yeah.
Outside of that initial interaction, did you have it up until prior to Aniya's death? Did you have any interactions with Mr. Garrett?
He had called me, I want to say it was like October, November, because, like I said, it was the weather, that's all I can pretty much remember.
And we're still in 2017?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, just wanted to know, like, I guess it was like a restraining order or something that took place or something of that nature, and wanted to know, like, could he come to the center to see Aniya? And I let him know, like, well, with daycare, if it's nothing court written in her file, if you're on your child's paperwork, you can come, to see her, you can't take her. And then he was letting me know about concerns that he had. He asked me, did I have any concerns? And I told him, I'm like, well, really, because me and, her mom really didn't talk or get along too much. So, like, I really didn't have interaction with Aniya because, one, she was in, like, a whole nother age group that I didn't work with. And then, two, just, like, we didn't get along. So, I really never really interacted with her, per se. But I did tell him, like, it was an incident when she was cleaning up, like, with bleach. And she, like,
Overall, go ahead.
a bleach incident. She was cleaning up, like, during the, towards the end of the day, we got to clean up for, like, the next day. And I think either Aniya was near the bucket or trying to get in the bucket, and she was like, stop, like that. But it startled me because I was in, like, a whole nother classroom. But I didn't think anything of it because I didn't tell it my kids, so. But other than that was, and he did tell me, he was like, no, I told him, I'm like.
That's the thing,
Okay. Turning your attention back to Mr. Lewis, who would walk with Sierra to the daycare, you said. How often would you see him come to the daycare?
Well, I don't know if they walked or I'm just.
How often would you see him at the daycare?
Maybe 2-3 times during the week.
And that began, you said, around November of 2017?
Yeah.
When did you stop seeing Mr. Lewis about 2 to 3 times a week with Sierra?
When I stopped seeing Sierra.
Thank you. One moment, please, Your Honor. Ms. Milton, I want to go back to the incident on January 16th of 2018. When Sierra and Aniya came into the building, do you recall whether or not Aniya was walking or being carried?
She walked her in.
Okay. And when she was going to the bathroom and walking out with Aniyah, do you remember if Aniyah was walking or being carried?
Well, I didn't see her go in the bathroom. She just, like, when she brought her, when they came into the room to let me know that she told me she had got sick in the bathroom. I didn't even know that she was even in. I thought she was in her classroom, so I don't know. I'm just, when she brought her in to let me know she was about to go, she had her coat on. They both had their coats on, and she was holding her because she said she had just threw up, and she needed her to get her to the hospital because she had just threw up.
Okay. And then when was the last time you saw Sierra and Aniyah?
I want to say that day that she got sick was the last day I seen Aniyah.
So January 16th?
Mm-hmm.
And when was the last time you saw Sierra?
I really can't tell you because the way her shift was, she was like a mid shift, and then sometimes she would call off. So I really can't even tell you the last day that I physically seen her at work.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross.
For this witness, Judge, thank you.
Ms. Bambino.
Yes, Ms. Milton, you said that you would see Mr. Lewis 2 or 3 times a week. Is that 2 times a week sometimes and 3 times a week sometimes?
Like sometimes it wouldn't be the same days. It wouldn't be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It would be at least 2 or 3 times a week. How I said.
Okay, and you said that was from November 2017 until when?
I can't tell you the last time I seen him. I can't tell you that day. I can just tell you when I started to see him.
Okay, so could you think of maybe a total of how many times you may have seen him?
Maybe like 8 or 9.
8 or 9? Okay. So from November to January, that's 12 weeks approximately. So within those 12 weeks, you think you saw him maybe 8 or 9 times?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall talking to an investigator by the name of Edward Hendricks?
Yes.
Talk to Mr. Hendricks?
I think that's his name. I remember someone calling me. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember telling Mr. Hendricks that?
Objection, Your Honor.
We approach. Right. Spoke with Mr. Hendricks. Did you tell him that Deontay would drop off or pick up Aniyah from the daycare, and she was always happy to see him?
I don't recall.
You don't recall telling Mr. Hendricks that?
No.
That she was always happy to see Deontay?
No.
Okay, then what was her behavior with him that you observed?
It was always him and her mom as a drop off. I never saw a pickup because I would be gone.
Okay, so you never saw him pick her up, or drop her off by himself?
No.
Okay.
Any follow-up?
Just very briefly, Your Honor. So, Ms. Milton, you were used to seeing the defendant Deontay Lewis, Sierra Day, and Aniyah Garrett together.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing
You
further.
step down.
AKEYAFITV
And Ms. Fitzpatrick, are you employed?
Yes.
Where do you work at?
Creative Kids Childcare.
And what do you do at Creative Kids Childcare?
I am the toddler teacher.
Was there a point in time when you worked at Get Ready, Set, Grow Daycare?
Yes.
What did you do at that facility?
In the morning, I was the head pre-K teacher, and in the afternoon, I was the school-age teacher.
When did you start working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
June of 2017.
When did you stop working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
July of 2018.
What sort of training and experience did you have to be a preschool teacher?
I have my CDA, which is a Child Development Associate. I'm also certified in First Aid, CPR, Communicable Disease, Child Abuse, and Domestic
Now, slow down.
Okay, if you could start over and go a little bit slower for me. Remember, our court reporter has to take down everything you say. Sometimes I talk too fast for her, so just take a deep breath and intentionally try to go slower, okay?
I have my CDA,
which is the Child Development Associate. I have my first aid CPR certification, my child abuse certification, my domestic violence certification, and communicable disease.
When did you say you first started working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
June 2017.
And when you started working there, what was your assignment?
I was the lead pre-K teacher in the mornings and the school-age teacher in the afternoon.
And what time did the morning shift run for?
I did 7:30 to 11:30, and then from, I want to say, because I had an extended break, so it was like 2:30 to like 5. I was the school-age teacher.
What sort of things would you do as a pre-K teacher?
I did daily lesson planning with them. I did art activities with them. Excuse me. I assisted with serving meals for lunch and kept active supervision at all times.
When you started working at Get Ready, Set, Grow, was there anybody that you knew prior to working there or when working that day?
No, not personally, no.
Okay. When you started working there, did you have interactions with somebody by the name of Sierra Day?
Yes.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please
We
identify?
stipulate that this witness can identify Sierra.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. What were some of your first interactions with the defendant Sierra Day?
Well, I met her the day that I got the job when I did my interview, and at the time I didn't realize that I had went to school with her because she was older than me. But when I met her, she was fine. She was outgoing. She was soft spoken.
Was she one of your coworkers that you would start talking to and having conversations with at work?
Yeah.
Did you two sort of become acquainted with one another?
We did.
What sort of things would you talk about?
Just typical stuff. Like, it wasn't nothing really out of the ordinary. Just little simple conversations.
Okay. During your interactions with Ms. Day, would she talk about her relationships and would you talk about your relationships?
Not really.
Okay. Did there come a point in time where she made you aware when she was dating someone?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
She just told me that.
Objection.
She told me that she was dating someone who went to school with us, and that was it.
When did she first inform you they had started dating?
I want to say it was around August of 2017.
And she indicated it was somebody that you two had went to school with?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, which school are we talking to?
Shaw High School.
And did she ever provide you with that person's name?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Deontay.
Do you recall his last name?
No, not at the time. She didn't give me a last name.
And during your chats with Sierra while you were at work, would you guys sort of talk about her relationship with Deontay as it was new?
Not really.
Okay. Did she mention how often they would spend time together?
I mean, from my knowledge, they were together. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day.
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
The defense, this is Dan DeRosa with Cleveland 19. The defense for Deontay Lewis is taking exception to this testimony in that, again, it goes back to the idea of hearsay, that this is a conversation she had with Sierra. The two of them are co-workers. It's a conversation that they had together, and whether or not she can remember it word for word. The gist of this conversation, again, is that the prosecutor is trying to set up that there is a relationship, that she referred to him as the boyfriend.
Sierra told her.
Very good. Overall. And proceed.
Ms. Fitzpatrick, how Did Sierra tell you how often she and Deontay would spend time together?
No.
Okay. Based on the conversation you had with her, were you able to determine how often he was around?
No, not really stuff.
Okay. Did you see Deontay at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
Yes.
How often would you see him at the daycare?
It wasn't very often. Like he would come and drop them off at work, and he would come in sometimes to go down to the classroom and talk to her. But it might have been maybe once or twice a week I would see him.
Once or twice a week? Mm-hmm. When you would see Mr. Lewis once or twice a week, would he interact with any of the other staff?
No.
What would he do when he came into the building?
Walk in, go straight to where she is, and then when he was done talking to her, walk out.
Do you recall when you first started seeing him at the daycare?
No, I don't recall.
Do you recall the last time you saw him at the daycare?
It was in January 2018. Sierra came in to pick up her last check, and he was with her.
What observations, if any, did you have about Mr. Lewis when he was at the daycare?
He just seemed like a typical dude. He would walk in, and walk out. He didn't say nothing to nobody and make eye contact. So, I mean, I didn't deal with him.
Did he interact with Miss Day?
Yes.
Was she the only person in the daycare that he would interact with?
Yes.
You mentioned that you taught the pre-K class, correct?
Yes.
And would Aniya have been of the age that she would have been in your class?
Yes.
Can you tell me about your observations of Aniya?
She was a happy, spunky, outgoing, soft-spoken, just a happy child.
And so that was how she would present when she came to your class?
Yes, when I did see her, yes, because Sierra's shift was, I believe it started at 11:30, so she didn't bring her in until her shift started. And by that time I was going on break, so I went to the school age classroom when I came back from break.
Okay. And when you saw Aniya, where would she be located at in the daycare?
Usually in the classroom with her mother.
Was there any other teacher assigned to that classroom?
Me, but in the morning.
Was there any other teacher assigned to that classroom at the same time as Sierra?
No.
So Sierra was the only teacher at Get Ready, Set, Grow. It was actually in the class with Aniya.
Yes.
When was the last time you recall seeing Aniya?
I believe, well, no, not I believe. It was definitely January of 2018.
Tell me about the last recollection you have of seeing Aniya.
Actually, it was right before Martin Luther King Day, so like that weekend, we had a long weekend, and when we came back, I didn't see her, because when I came back from break, Sierra was already gone for the day, so I didn't see her, physically see her. So it was before that weekend.
And we're talking January of 2018.
Yes.
When was the last time you remember seeing Sierra?
When she came and picked up her last check, which was right after Martin Luther King Day, probably either the second or last week in January.
And when Sierra came to pick up her last check, who was with her?
Deontay.
Was Aniya with her?
No.
But Mr. Lewis was?
Yes.
Whom, if anyone, did Mr. Lewis speak to when he came to the daycare for the last time with Sierra?
Nobody.
Whom, if anyone, did Sierra speak with when they came for the last time?
Nobody.
And if you recall, what time of day were they there?
I think I was on break. So it was between 11:30 and 2:30. 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. because I was on break.
And Aniyah was not present, correct?
No.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Dan DeRosa again with Channel 19. So again, the
Takia,
reason
in your
we're hearing this
conversations
testimony.
with, Sierra about her relationship with Deontay, did she ever mention whether or not he spent the night at her home?
No.
Thank you. She didn't mention it, or she didn't say?
She didn't mention anything to me about that.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson,
Nothing on that, Judge, thank you.
Ms. Longino.
Yes, Ms. Fitzpatrick, you said that, you did see Mr. Lewis come to pick, Naya up before,
Not to pick her up, but to drop her off.
drop her off, so you never saw him come pick her up?
No, because I left before she did. She was the closer.
No, Anaya, not Sierra.
No.
Okay. So you only saw him drop Naya off, you never saw him pick her up?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr.